We've got Scott Symonds, I believe, who's a UK player on the right.
Yep, going up against Pablo Meza, Tablemon himself. And this is going to be a win and in. So both these players will be sitting at 16 match points. If they win this last round, they'll advance to day number 2. If not, they will be eliminated.
Right, and I guess the worst possible situation in this case could be a tie because both players would be eliminated from the tournament because they wouldn't have enough match points to progress. So really trying to speed up the process of the game over the course of this round. Will be interesting to see what they are playing. I don't believe we have deck lists just yet to see what they are playing. I imagine it's probably more of the same, but we will see shortly.
Yeah, I think Pablo's playing Pikachu and Zekrom. I saw him. He's at least playing some lightning stuff.
Right.
And, yeah, I'm not sure what his opponent is playing, but we will find out shortly.
Yeah, and I think actually Pablo has been playing a lot of that over the course of the past couple of weeks and months. Actually, I've seen a lot of tournament reports where he has been utilizing this this Pikachu Zekrom deck a lot. So I imagine he's probably sticking with that, seeing as he's obviously very comfortable with it. But it'll be interesting to see what Scott has gone with here. But as you can see, they're just setting up at the moment, laying out prizes, and we're waiting to kick this game off.
We do see Pablo there has quite a few accomplishments to his name. He's been playing for a long, long time. I think I first met him in 2004, so it's been well over 15 years at this point. And he is a former Worlds semi-finalist, won a regional championship. He's the Mexico national champion, and just recently made top 8 at a regional championships. And here we do see prize cards for his opponent.
Right, so there is a Grimer in there, so it'd be interesting to see Scott's deck list, because if he only plays the 1-1 line of Grimer and Alolan Muck, that will be particularly useful if he is wanting to try and stop Pablo from using those Jirachis, using that Stellar Wish, because he is reliant on trying to get as many resources out as possible to try and maximize not only his setup, but also to switch between the Jirachi and Zapdos to hit those damage, the 80 damage with Thunderous Assault with his Zapdos. But as you can see, Scott is going first. He has gone with a Nest Ball. He starts with just the one Rockruff. Ditto goes onto the bench. And I quite like this play from Scott, because if he is going for... Yeah, if he is going with Ditto, or assuming that he's going to try and get Muck out, Ditto's ability will be inactive once Muck hits the field. So it's a good idea to try and maximize it while you can. And considering he is going first, he will be able to evolve quicker, given that obviously he is going first. Pablo doesn't need to evolve, so that's quite an advantage on Scott's side.
Yeah, weren't you just saying you were surprised we weren't seeing more Zoroark Lycanroc? There you go.
Yes, and it features here. So, yeah, it's something a little bit different. You know, we've seen a lot of Pikachu Zekrom over the course of today. So it's nice to see a different type of archetype, a different deck to feature on our stream. But it'll be interesting to see how they approach this matchup. I wonder if Pablo is playing weakness policy in his deck.
That's a good question. A lot of these Pikachu and Zekrom decks have started to include that tool card just to take away weakness. It seems like such a silly card at first glance. You play a card in your deck that all it does is take away weakness. It doesn't have any additional benefit. But sometimes not having weakness changes the game immensely. Makes it so that Lycanroc GX cannot knock out your Pikachu and Zekrom GX, and gives you an additional attack, which gives you just one more turn to win the game. And so that's when we see tech cards like Weakness Policy. And oh no, turn 2 Lycanroc GX for Scott after Pablo had a not so great start.
Right, yeah, and it's, yeah, I mean, the thing is, with that Lycanroc GX is you do have that Bloodthirsty Eyes ability that will bring up a Pokemon, should he choose to, in the active spot. He is going straight for that Pikachu Zekrom GX, looking to get the knockout here. I believe, at this moment, he's a little bit short.
Yeah, he'll need to find a choice band, but even if he misses the knockout here, he's still going to hit for 220 damage with Claw Slash.
Amount of damage. But yeah, at this point, I'm just trying to look at, well, I mean, if he had the choice band, I'm sure he would have played it immediately to go for that knockout. But yeah, just looking at Scott's hand, he can see a Zoro in there, another Double Colors Energy.
He does have that Pokemon communication.
Right. Okay.
He might be searching up that Zoroark GX so he could trade potentially draw into the choice band.
All right, yeah, and it'll be interesting to see. Oh, he's going for Alolan Muck here, which is utilizing the fact that he has the ability, which will stop the abilities of basic Pokemon. That would stop his Jirachis from being able to use Stellar Wish, which is particularly important, especially when you're trying to dig for more resources in your deck. As was mentioning earlier, he has chosen to evolve Ditto since the ability will be inactive. Oh, well, he doesn't have a choice in this case, but yes, he is able to get it out, and there is a total of he's missing it just by, I believe, 20 damage, I think here. So, but let's see what Pablo has on his side. So,
well, nothing. He concedes.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to attack that turn, and if you can't retreat, you're going to give up 3 prize cards. And knowing the situation here in the final round, that you have to get a win, not a tie.
Right.
I think. If you know that, this game is basically done for, I might have like a less than 10% chance to win. It's in your best interest to just pick up your cards, hope you have enough time to finish the next 2 games.
Right. It's a smart play on Pablo's side because, as you're saying, yeah, it does utilize the fact that when you do come to these big-scale tournaments, you are playing with a basis of time on your back as well. So, and as you were saying, yeah, he does need to get a win. So it's pretty much like he's starting a full game, and nothing has really changed in the grand scheme of things. He still needs to win, so he might as well just scoop the game and go on to game 2. But I think Scott going first in that first game was a huge deal, I think, because as you saw, he was able to evolve his Pokemon much quicker in that round, and as you saw, use Bloodthirsty Eyes to bring up that Pikachu Zekrom GX and also hit it for weakness as well. But we do see Pablo start with a mulligan, which means Scott will get the additional draw from the top of his deck from the mulligan that Pablo has, and we are just waiting to see what they open up with here. But as you can see, Scott puts a little dice counter on the top of his deck, which will signal that he is entitled to draw 1 more card once Pablo has put his active Pokemon out.
Yeah, and I mean, this is not the situation you wanted to be in if you're Pablo. You need to win your last round to qualify for day 2, and you concede the first game of this match on the second turn of the game. But you know, he is a veteran player. He's been in this situation several times. He knows that.
Okay. There are 2 Pikachu Zekrom GX prize at the moment.
Yikes.
Okay, that could be a big deal in this matchup for both players, actually, because from Scott's perspective, he's probably looking to target those to get the match over and done with more quickly in terms of being able to hit for weakness. And there is 2 Alolan Muck.
And 2 double colorless.
Wow. So 2 double colors, 2 Alolan Muck, so he won't be able to shut down that ability of that Jirachi. He is only playing 2 copies at the moment, so...
I don't know who has it worse.
I really don't know, but I'm just looking at Pablo's list. I'm just going to have a look to see. I believe he only plays 2.
Yeah.
I can't see any reason why he'd play more than 2, but, I mean, he's going to find out pretty quickly as he goes through his deck that he has no... copies available, so he's going to have to choose an alternate attacker within the deck. So the good thing for Pablo, I guess, is although he is unaware of it, is that he will have full uses of using his Jirachi over the course of this game until Scott is able to get an Alolan Muck out of his prizes.
So we see him having to use his first energy attachment just to retreat into Jirachi straight away to Stellar Wish for an item card. Gets the Nest Ball, and does he have a supporter? His hand doesn't look that great. Hopefully he has a Lily or something like that to draw some cards, but no, he has nothing.
He has a Guzma, but that's not going to help him draw more cards, and I think this is really Scott's time to try and capitalize on this. Pablo does not have a good hand at all. The only thing that he has, if Scott can get a knockout on this turn on that Jirachi, I think Pablo really is going to be in a tight situation at this moment. I think, yeah, if Scott really has to push for the knockout here, maybe he can sense that Pablo does not have many cards in his hand. He knows that Jirachi is going to use Stellar Wish. It will enable him to try and find another trainer card in there. Could be a supporter card, which would allow him to draw more cards. So I think Scott really has to go for this knockout here. And it's only 60 HP to knock out. So,
well, it's 70 HP, but Zoroark decks typically don't have anything that can attack aggressively on the first turn. So I think for the most part that Jirachi is safe. the most you can really do is get Tapu Lele GX and Energy Drive for 40. That is one of the disadvantages of this kind of deck. You don't have that Zapdos or anything that can attack for big damage on the first turn. So at the very least, Pablo will get one more Stellar Wish to hopefully find a supporter card in the next turn. But beyond that, it just looks like Scott has an excellent start as he finds Tapu Lele GX to Wonder Tag for that Lily, and he can fill his hand up and get off to a blazing fast start.
Right, and he does have Pokemon Communication in hand. He can go back into... No, he doesn't have any Pokemon in there anymore, so that is not a target. But he has Lily in hand. There goes Devoured Field. He puts that down, and there is a Lily. So he's maximizing the fact that it is his first turn. He's going to go for the maximum draw up until you have 8 cards, and Scott is in such a good position at the moment. I really do kind of fear for Pablo if he isn't able to get anything off on his next turn, but we will see here what happens.
Yeah, just perfect from Scott. Finds a Nest Ball as well to go with those 2 more Zorua. He can fill up his bench on his first turn, and that's all you really want when you're playing Zoroark, Lycanroc. If you can get a bunch of basics out and attach an energy, that's perfect.
Right, and he's got 3 Zoras out already. There goes the Alolan Grimer. I'm not sure if he realizes he won't have access to it, but it's probably just for the purpose of just trying to fill up your bench and trying to make sure that you are able to utilize Zoroark GX for maximum damage for the following turn. There goes the energy attachment, which kind of secures that if you would like to bring up something the next turn with Lycanroc GX, all he needs is just 1 double colorless energy, and he can attack with that as well. So really trying to set himself up here nicely for the next turn. What did Pablo draw? Did he get anything of use?
Yeah, he just drew the Nest Ball for the turn. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting spot. I don't know if Scott knows that he doesn't have Alolan Muck in his deck, but Pablo certainly does not know that. And if he has a Guzma, he's going to want to play it and try to target down Alolan Grimer before it can evolve into Alolan Muck. So even though there's no Alolan Muck to evolve into, that Grimer can serve as kind of bait and force Pablo to try to Guzma it out.
Yeah, so, and as you can see, there is Stellar Wish. Wow. Really nothing to work with here.
Just nothing. I don't even think he has any energy in his discard pile, so I don't think he can use Dance of the Ancients.
Wow. So I think at this point, if you are Pablo, what do you do? Do you get a skateboard and try and preserve your Jirachi? Is that what you do? Is that attach it to your Jirachi, retreat it, maybe put Marshadow active? At least that way you can guarantee a Stellar Wish for the following turn to try and draw yourself out of the situation. But he's opting to go with Energy Switch instead, which...
I'm going to tell you, none of those are good options. These just are all terrible things. Oh, he actually does have plenty of lightning energy in the discard pile, so he can use Dance of the Ancients this turn and use that Guzma. And yeah, he is going to go after Alolan Grimer. If he had the caster vision and could see the prize cards, he would not bother knocking out this Alolan Grimer, but he knows that without access to Jirachi, if that Alolan Muck came into play, it would have been basically game over.
Right, and I can just see Pablo did manage to pick up a Pikachu Zekrom GX from that prize. Okay. So he does have access to one of them. That might be the route that he takes for the next turn, which is to try and maybe go down that route in terms of powering that up and trying to set up some kind of some position on this game. But the thing is, if he does do that, he's also acknowledging that Scott has that Rockruff on the bench as well. I mean, that can come up and potentially have a revenge KO should he try to go down that route. Scott does get the Zoroark in play, so it means he can start using Trade-In as well. So let's see what he decides to do here. I think.
Yeah, he's trying to figure out which card to trade away. He's got his other counter gain and a fighting energy, and it looks like he decides to throw away the counter gain, and that has paid off big time.
Right,
he does find a supporter for the turn.
Yeah, he's also got the Lycanroc GX as well in hand. So if he wants to bring up something on the bench, that is another option as well. It might even be worth holding that out until the next time. He doesn't realize that Pablo has the Pikachu Zekrom GX in hand.
Yeah, I think going after the Jirachi is smart, though.
I think it's a smart play.
With only one Jirachi in play, if he knocks it out, he takes away the option of Stellar Wish. And, Pablo hasn't even played a supporter card that draws him cards. So clearly he's kind of running on fumes at this point. All he did was play Guzma that turn. So taking away the Jirachi takes away one more opportunity for him to draw a supporter card.
Right, and so yeah, as you say, a very smart play from Scott's side there, being able to take out that Jirachi. I mean, once that Jirachi goes down, once it gets knocked out, it's really difficult to think what Pablo could, even if he draws something of value here, he's going to have to try and set it up pretty quickly if he wants to try and get back into this game. I mean, there goes a Lily on Scott's side. So Scott is just in such a commanding position at the moment. He's just doing so well in terms of setting up.
Wow.
But I think...
he's about to get a third Zoroark GX.
Wow. So there goes Pokemon Communication. He's going to go back in for the Zoroark GX there, which means he will be able to trade again. Keeping in mind that, once he eventually takes a knockout, if he is able to draw out a load of muck, that could also potentially be useful against Jirachis. Obviously, Pablo is not really drawing too well anyway at the moment, but certainly something to take into account. What does Scott get from... I think he did get a load of muck.
Yeah, and Pablo just concedes. Wow. He has nothing going. And Scott Symonds will win this round 9 matchup, and he will advance to day 2 here at the Europe International Championships. Congrats to him.
Congratulations to Scott Symonds. And yes, as a fellow British player, as a fellow Brit, it's always nice to see the UK players doing well. So I'm particularly happy for Scott. And I've met Scott so many times, and he's a very lovely guy. And so very pleased for him to come to a tournament of this scale and to do so well. So,
an unfortunate ending for Pablo. Just nothing he can do in either of those games.